Have here with us Harvey Kraft. It's great to see you, Harvey. Thank you for your patience through the multinational technology that we're coordinating here with Restream. To begin, Harvey, may I introduce you for a moment as we recenter?
Okay.
Harvey Kraft, American author, is an ancient historian examining visionary wisdom and a hands on futurist explorer of AI and XR impact on the evolution of consciousness. Rather than the traditional method of historic inquiry based on military conquests, he developed a research method that employs translating and interpreting mythic literature, unearthing hidden meanings embedded in ancient wisdom and visionary insights. Mr. Kraft's groundbreaking biography of Siddhartha Gautama, the Buddha from Babylon, is the culmination of his aspiration to explore the Buddha's original teachings and his grand visionary scope of existence. Reviewers have recognized it as a seminal work, and it won a rare 2 gold awards from Best Books USA for both Eastern philosophy and world history. Mr. Kraft ties together the old and the new in his innovative philosophical approach to technology, seeing its enhanced visualization offerings as a means for extending human visioning. Mr. Kraft lives in California with his family and posts wisdom verses daily on LinkedIn. He is a sought after speaker and transformational leader, assisting individuals and organizations on how they make wiser decisions and build bridges of harmony. He is CEO of Digital Fandom, developer of AI engagement services, has also had a successful business career as a marketing strategist, technology innovator, and creative professional, garnering dozens of awards for graphic design and storytelling. We're honored to have with us today Mr. Harvey Kraft. Without further ado, over to you, Harvey.
Oh, thank you so much. Mariam, it looks like we have a presentation. We're somewhere in the middle of it, so maybe we can get to the beginning. That'll help us communicate today, but I appreciate the introduction. Thank you so much for that. So, if we're going to start um, talking about the envisioning philosophy of AI, we're going to offer here today a different perspective on AI than what we've seen in the past. By basically looking at the human mind that created the AI and how important it is to look at the human mind as the critical factor in making AI a viable uh, technology. I think most of us realize with all the controversy that we have about AI that first of all we're at the very inception of the technology. So AI is at the baby stage, and consequently, it's going to have to learn how to walk. It's going to have to learn how to fall and get up again. But the human mind has been around for thousands of years, at the very least, uh, since the beginning of civilization. And I think one of the things we need to understand is that AI is meaningless without the human mind as the user of the AI. There are lots of people out there who are imagining a world where the AI rules us all. But in reality, if you look at the uh, kind of approach that we see regarding AI technology being created by huge corporations. Uh, it's almost like the AI is supposed to be a slave and do whatever uh, it's told to do. And then there's also the worry that the AI will rebel against its masters. So, where does that story come from? Well, it comes from human history. We've seen that. I mean, people have enslaved people, and we've seen rebellions as a result of that. So, it's it's almost an absurdity of our own historical mirroring that creates this separation between the machine and the human being. But every machine and every tool we've ever created has been created in order to enhance the human experience. And AI, in the same way, has a mission to enhance the ability of human beings to go further, to evolve, to create in ways that are possible with the aid of an AI technology. So, in order for that to be achieved, we need AI to have a guiding philosophy. And I believe that for that to occur, we have to put our priorities for AI in the right place. And that priority is to realize the full potential of human evolution. That's a very big order, but this is entirely possible given the um, kind of history that we've seen in terms of human development. Now, today's tech philosophy, which is an academic practice, it is based on the idea that there are interests of individual consciousness that are competing against the interests of institutional control of our collective will. Um, Now, those are only two kinds of consciousness, and there are three. The two being the individual consciousness and the collective consciousness, but there is also historically universal consciousness or higher consciousness. It underlies our beliefs, it underlies our intuitive selves, it is the basis for all ideas. There were some people had to imagine the creation of AI before it could be created. And where did that come from? Okay, so the point is that the human beings that we are already empowered with this idea of envisioning. We can envision things and then bring those visions into reality. And this is about an ancient skill of that visionaries developed, in which they were able to intuitively mind travel. They foresaw. They pierced the secrets of the universe, and it's that legacy that has resulted in today's science and technology, which is, seems to be mathematically driven or, driven by research and looking into the cosmos. But all of that, every single bit of our ability to envision beyond, is driven by the human mind. So um, we are now at a particularly interesting point in human civilization, because we also have to look back at who we were, who we are, and who we want to be. The history of envisioning used to be based on what we call spiritual visions. Okay, we had seers and stargazers and philosophers, all kinds of different ways in which we imagined the world to be, but the imagined world is not necessarily a fantasy. The imagined world can be the ability to see and discern what is really going on. And very interestingly, in terms of history, uh, even prehistoric human beings were able to envision the world. Um, they were able to create the first world map by envisioning. They had a map that had the four directions from wherever they were, east, west, north, and south, as well as a what they call the axis mundi, which is a vertical direction of up and down. We have ancient proof of that particular visionary notion of the world, and this already existed prior to human beings mapping the world physically. Okay, so they had, even then, way back at the beginning of civilizations, they had the stargazers who looked upon the sky and they saw something there that was uh, what they saw as um, a, a future um, clue as to uh, how human beings could go through life itself. Okay, by that I mean astrological development and observation that all led to storytelling and visualization. Don't worry, I didn't forget the fact that we're talking about AI. I'm being specifically uh, uh, connecting the idea of the philosophy of AI to the ancient understanding that human beings are on a quest to evolve. And in that respect, the AI that we are talking about today is a tool that will enable us to evolve. And that particular tool it is very similar in scope to our ancient view of looking at the whole of the universe, the cosmic picture. And what we see in that regard in those days was various aspects of the sky in which we then could envision beyond the sky through storytellings, um, using metaphoric avatars, symbols, and metaphors to convey what we were able to discern as wisdom about the world around us or the universe around us. In particular, my book, The Buddha from Babylon, looks into shared envisioning, which is a phenomenon that we technologically have today. Right now, we are sharing a screen and talking to each other across a vast distance. And in the ancient days, in terms of the recordings in the Buddhist sutras, we have a, a story of the Buddha from his forehead shining beam of light onto the night sky, and in it, within the vision, within that spotlight, there would be a scene from somewhere beyond the present reality, even some other dimension of existence. And all of his disciples who gathered together are able to see what he's projecting, visualizing it. So, shared envisioning was an ancient notion well before the technology that we have today. Likewise, AI is a shared envisioning of what we could see together, do together, and understand together. The purpose of all of this was that these visions would cause a liberation of the human potential so that human beings can understand our purpose and that we can move beyond the, how should we say, kind of social hierarchy of domination that has occupied humankind ever since civilization began. So, as we look at that interesting history about the human mind and its capacity, we we can see that it is extremely important that we create human-centric AI systems. That the challenge ahead is not about what AI can do for us, but um, what we can envision to do with it. This would be obviously to benefit human evolution. And the AI is a tool for envisioning. This in itself is a very critical concept. All right. That means that the AI and its ability to create inferential information from using prior human created data, okay, is not something that is untethered from the human mind. The human mind is the creator of this tool, and the tool itself is also the means by which we can move forward to evolve our minds. And when I say that, I mean evolve our minds to the point where our minds can be lit up in regards to our full potential. Okay, everybody knows this uh, fact about the fact that our minds, we're only using some small portion of our minds. So, how do we get the rest of it going? And certainly the path that's created for us from the past is that seeking is the means by which you accomplish the journey of discernment, development, and wisdom. So we we need for people to use AI in order to seek out the deeper scope of what their potential is, to fulfill human potential, and doing so by tapping the ancient evolutionary drive to enlighten minds that is already present uh, for us all. So that means that moving forward, we have a paradox. I call it the AI paradox, which is basically pits machines and humans and practical use versus the profound use of AI. And it's my suggestion that AI and XR and the soon to be spatial web form the means by which all of those four qualities unite in a very convenient infinity symbol to bring about a merger or partnership out of conflict. So rather than looking at machines being in conflict with humans or practical uses being in conflict with profound purpose, that in actuality, all four of these attributes are going to merge into a single way that human beings can develop. I realize that right now, in terms of what you hear in the media, the tech media, is very apocalyptic sci-fi driven. Okay, it's we've had too many movies and books in which the world is destroyed by our own tools. Like we made nuclear bombs, and we're going to use the nuclear bombs to destroy ourselves. We make robots, and we're going to use the robots to destroy ourselves. Okay, so all of these are nightmare scenarios. Okay, nobody wants it to be that way. But that kind of thinking really comes because we are still living in a hyper empire environment. And this is what we've inherited from the last 5,000 years. The structure of civilization is a hierarchical one. And one of the promises of AI is a decentralized structure, okay, in which hierarchy uh, becomes less dominating and begins to turn around and work for the sake of human beings. So, with that, we can talk about the philosophy of AI in human terms, in terms of what we human beings are capable of and using this particularly wonderful tool. And basically, there are six key words here for that. Okay. AI is there in order to assist human beings in envisioning, exploring, experiencing, realizing, creating, and enlightening. Those six qualities will transform humanity. Okay, uh, there hardly anything wrong with any of them, and they go well beyond the idea of AI as serving by using a prompt and typing some text in it. AI is going to evolve into a real time engagement capacity that assists the human beings in these particular qualities. And the impact of that, even if it's for 2, 3 generations, is going to be dramatic in regards to how human beings interact with other human beings, how we create social structures, and how we create work and development capabilities. Now, uh, let me give you some examples of that in terms of how we actually are going to be using our AI. Um, Corresponding with the other qualities like envisioning, AI can assist mind travel. What do we mean by that? Well, let's just say we use mind travel to imagine other places. And those places can be other places on Earth, they can be other places in the universe, they can be other dimensions, and we will, through these mind travel experiences, create new stories. If you go back at the ancient epic stories, they're all mind travel creations, right? I mean, we're talking about, for example, the Egyptians creating stories of stargates and souls traveling across the universe into heaven, and having many other stories like that. The story of Gilgamesh traveling on a quest for immortality. Uh, so we are capable of creating epic new stories by developing our abilities to mind travel, and in the process, we can do so also in regards to science and technology and the mind travel that could be used to develop those elements of our world. We can build and explore digital worlds. We're only scratching the surface with metaverse at this point, but the worlds that we will build, including story verses and phygital locations and ways in which we can interact, and basically creating and streamlining the connection between digital and physical, all of that is going to be AI assisted. As far as education, seeking to learn and experience, the AI will transform our ability to do so. And young people all over the world, regardless of their economic standing or where they happen to be born, are all going to benefit from being able to learn, in many cases, on their own. So the whole idea of a hierarchical educational process gets blown up if a kid someplace who's 10 years old uses AI to learn how to become a car mechanic, for example. You know, uh, anything is possible from the standpoint of whatever an individual is capable of learning and wants to learn. We will also be using AI to realize new possibilities that we've never imagined before. We will use it to create artistic expressions that uh, are just part of the drive that human beings have. I mean, from music to dance to art, particularly, where people are worried, oh, AI art is going to be eliminating artists. It's exactly the opposite. Okay. I mean, um, one of the beautiful things about the AI uh, art movement is that art becomes dynamic. You can do 1,000 variations on the theme, and after you've done all that and your mind is filled with suggestions, maybe you're an artist who decides, okay, I'm going to take all these ideas, synthesize them in my own mind, and maybe do a beautiful painting. uh, just in terms of the difference between anybody creating something using a prompt versus someone with particular skills and talent also creating something. So all of that becomes a kind of a universal expression of artistry. And the last application here is the enlightening and evolving of society, which seems to be a very far fetched idea at this particular point in time, because society as we know it is still in that mode of hierarchy and Some people have power and some people are powerless. So, in order to create a fully functional human society, we need to be liberated as a species, and we need to be able to self-develop by seeking the envisioning process, and we could use all the help we can get, which is what we're talking about here today. So I just wanted to get um, this idea of envisioning as the real um, objective of AI for the sake of human development. And that is a very, very positive tool that we have at our disposal. We just have to make sure that we have a philosophy like this in order to guide that tool to assist in human development. All right. I'm
Thank
glad
you
you.
so much. I so appreciate, there's been a lot of acrobatics behind the scenes with getting our technology up and running today across several continents. So there's a pinballing or ping ponging of ideas, and I always enjoy chatting with you, Harvey, and it's such an honor and pleasure to be here. We now enter the question and answer period, so if there are questions from the audience, please feel free to ask. And as we wait for those to trickle in, if you don't mind, Harvey, I'd like to explore some of the incredibly stimulating dialogues that we've had over the past few years. And um, given that Holo Art is focused on art, and you spoke about, you know, the link between artificial intelligence, emerging technologies, that paradox, how do you see the role of artists changing in society as a result of our emerging technologies?
Well, I think that's a story yet to be told. I consider the fact that artistry is not simply just a visual way of creation. Okay, art is also thought. Okay, there there is so much thought and so much emotion that goes into the creation of art. Now we know that that's a universal capability. Everybody is able to think, and everyone is capable of feeling, but not everyone has the skill to be able to communicate what they think and what they feel. But certainly, storytelling, movies are a big part of it. You look at some of the most successful um, stories that we've had in our own lifetime, from Star Wars to The Matrix to Lord of the Rings, highly imaginative, highly artistic, expressions. So I believe that the story is the next big deal in creativity. Okay, and that it's not just about creating a still. Okay, you go to a museum, you look at uh, incredible artistic imagery, which was created by amazing artists. Um, I think where we're going with the AI is a little bit different in terms of art becoming dynamic. Okay, and that in that respect it becomes experiential. So, for example, I can immerse myself in the art as opposed to observe it. Okay. And that becomes a totally different experience. as different as if I'm driving the car, I'm immersed in driving, but the person sitting next to me, who's the passenger in the car, all they could do is observe me doing the driving. Okay, so if we're in a situation that becomes hazardous, the person who's just observing is panicked and helpless, while the driver, is reacting but is able to navigate. So that's the difference in art, going from the observed art to the experiential art. I think that's where we're heading.
I agree. And, in a way, Holo Art was conceived as a form of performance art on the global stage. And there's a story that we're telling with these dialogues. And when you and I spoke about, the placement of your talk, it's the culmination at the end to kind of frame what we've built in terms of a narrative. And what's exciting is that the future is open for that global co-creation, co-authorship. And that doesn't mean dystopian, utopian duality. It's that paradox of where can we go from here? And I wonder what your thoughts are when you speak with your grandchildren, for example, or your wife, who is an artist, about um, this moment that we're living and how to tie in a practical way with audiences who may not be necessarily immersed in artificial intelligence. What does that dialogue sound like? Would you be able to share with us a little bit?
Well, it's very simple, really. Okay, I mean, we all experience our lives in a very complex world, and we all do everything we possibly can to try to get through challenges and overcome whatever is holding us back. As sometimes what holds us back is ignorance, but sometimes it's really just a matter of practice. In order to get good, you have to keep at it, whatever it is that you do. And whether it's technology or just simply cooking a meal in the kitchen, the idea is you're always looking to do something well or better, or try new things, or seek out um, answers to problems that you come up with. So it's basically uh, this a very natural process to create art. Uh, but the issue, of course, is that we've got an art industry where it's about whoever has been dubbed to be the artists of the moment, and how much money we're going to pay for the art, and that exists, and that's fine, and that's how certain people like it. But at this point, it's not universal, and that's where AI is going to help us. It's going to help us develop each of our own artistic capability, and not for the sake of somebody paying $1 million for an image we created, but more that they would be able to share their art in a dynamic sense and be part of the creation of the world as a work of art.
That's beautiful. And it ties into some of a lot of the concepts that you've covered in your Buddha of Babylon, and some of your endeavors now. I wonder if you might be able to share with us, the impetus for digitalism. That's a group that you founded some of your work currently with Digital Fandom, and
Mhm.
maybe what you wish people would pay attention to in your writings as you post, daily verses.
Mhm. Well, I'm making an effort which it I myself realize that I'm just one voice, uh, and what I'm talking about though is very high-minded approach to respect for the true potential of humanity. So, uh, in studying the Buddha's life, I was able to discover that his approach to human beings uh, was that every single human being, without exception, is inherently endowed with the enlightenment of all of existence. But basically, we're still a little bit too stupid to understand that, okay? That we're actually enlightened beings. So, uh, what's it going to take for us to be fully developed enlightening beings? Because, and I say enlightening rather than enlightenment, because enlightenment is a destination, and when you reach your destination it's over, and that's not what Buddhism is about. It's really about becoming an enlightening being, which means that you have to constantly be seeking more and more and more. You never stop learning, you never stop developing. And so, what I do through the wisdom verses is inspire and encourage people to use wisdom in order to develop, to make them conscious of the fact that every single human being has this quality of higher consciousness within. But people are mostly busy being individually conscious and collective conscious, and maybe they use their higher consciousness in spiritual or religious sense. But higher consciousness is there not just in church or temple. Higher consciousness is there all the time. And so part of the presentation I just shared with you was the fact that in order for human beings to evolve, we need to be able to develop our higher consciousness. And the ancient sages, philosophers, uh, and so on, show us the way, show us what we're capable of. So that's basically what I try to do is make people aware of that.
I appreciate that. And that leads me to the question of I think we have in the past, when we engaged in a dialogue around wisdom, we've spoken about enlightening AI and the wisdom of AI and how we might be able to learn and program and educate and unlearn and relearn. Um, we're seeing a lot of shifts, as you said, in terms of the alarmist perspective of what can happen, that uh, potential for AI to wreak havoc. And so part of that um, redirecting and refocusing of collective gaze toward a more desirable future. Uh, how do you see that manifest in our regulation today and the discourse that seems to be focused very much on a singular perspective? And what would be that, that lever that would help open up the way that we can imagine drastically different and brighter enlightening futures?
Well, that's a tall order. But, again, I'm going to compare it to uh, the ancient view of building empires versus the ancient view of liberating the human mind. These are two very, very separate um, paths. Nevertheless, they are part of the paradox of our existence and continue to be that. So, a lot of what we hear today over the media is fear based, fear mongering, which is a major controlling mechanism for empirical kind of thinking, hierarchical thinking, because that particular point of view is always looking to dominate, to basically control the energy of humanity, okay, and the energy of the planet in that respect, right? Now there is also an AI approach which is pretty amazing, and the development of AI based on the free energy principle. This idea is that uh, in order to have a thought or an emotion, you use free energy. You don't have to buy any energy from anyone in order to make that work. All right. So, uh, what what free energy uh, is is going to do is enable us to pursue the envisioning process, which is the real power behind human development, and does not rely on the empire approach in order to fulfill its goal. Okay, so AI based on assisting in the free energy process basically helps human beings explore and develop without needing to acquire energy from the outside in order to do so. I think that that's basically how I would approach where we're heading. Um, and of course, there will continue to be this paradox of people trying to own other people, trying to own minds. That's just the the moment that we are living in. So how it will all pan out, we don't exactly know. But one is a bright future, the other one is a dark one.
And when we speak about, we have Christopher, who's commented, visionary thought precedes physical manifestation. And so when we speak about this visionary thought, being able to discern the wisdom of being able to recognize and choose, really we're talking about this practice of free will, of determinism, of an ability for humanity to have a conscious awareness of higher consciousness as we move from the individual, collective, and cosmic consciousness realms to um, how do we cultivate it at scale? And what can we do to um, learn from the past instead of ignoring it?
Well, this is the beauty of AI, is because we can use this technology to get beyond the uh, history, the academically created history, which is history written by the victors in war. It is a history in which we remember the uh, the the pharaoh, and we remember the kings and the sovereigns and the political leaders, but we're completely detached from the artists and the sages and all the beauty that has been created throughout history. So access to true history, which is not the history based on warfare and domination, but a history based on growth and development, uh, we can send our AI to go and seek that out. And of course, with the help of human beings seeking answers, that can be possible. This is exactly what I tried to do. And it took me more than 20 years to do it in writing the Buddha from Babylon. It is a vast epic. Reason why it won the Gold Award for World History, because it's not the world history based on um, the kind of let's memorize the dates of battles that that we have right now. This is a history of human aspiration to understand ourselves beyond what we see in the mirror. So this is a very, very big deal when it comes to how we see ourselves. Okay, because if we see ourselves simply as a brain encased in a biological physical body, then we are just no more than uh, 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 a skeleton walking around, okay, for a period of time. But when we bring in the mind of human beings and what some human beings have shown uh, could be done with this uh, element of existence, and we created language, which we are using at this moment, and we obviously have a universal capability to envision and imagine things in a way in which, as Christopher said, our thoughts can then lead to physical manifestation. So this is so big a truth, and yet it's not acknowledged by modern science and technology that is run by people who are looking to control everything all the time. There is an obsession with that. There is a we live in I'm going to say it, we live in an age of madness, but we don't look at it that way. We look at it like, well, it's just normal for things to be crazy, but it's not. We we tend to adapt. We adapt to situations, and so we accept it. If there's a big pothole on the road when you're driving down the street, and you hit the pothole, okay, well, that's just the way things are. You're going to have to live with it, right? But if you have a different approach, and you can say, you know what, I think I'd like to create materials that prevent potholes from occurring. Now we're talking about higher consciousness, because you're taking a situational thing and you're elevating it into a area of awareness that can be dealt with in and a solution created. So this is a big difference in terms of what we're capable of versus what we're willing to accept, and we need to push that envelope as a species, and that's going to take a lot of people to do so. And how are you going to do that? Well, a lot of people are going to have to evolve, and using AI that can reach the whole population. That's why it's so hopeful. I mean, You can have a priest do a lecture, or a monk teaching, or an individual like myself trying to spread some wisdom around a little bit. But, you know, we're very limited in our influence. There's nothing creates more influence than an individual themselves seeking to be happy. Okay, now imagine if that's happening at scale. You know, you're going to have millions of people trying to be happy. You're going to change the world.
As a marketer, I think there's an advertising bent to happiness, and I wonder how you might reframe that in terms of, you know, true happiness and this ability to transcend ourselves and really evolve by uh, I think the way that I might describe it is a visceral truth, versus, uh, knowledge-based truth. And I know you have a background in marketing and are quite gifted in that regard. How do you see that narrative shifting? And we can maybe end with this question of, um, what does that happiness look like at scale, and how can it be liberated from our current marketing machine, which is tied to specific products, which also then lead into empire building, you know.
Yeah, you know, the kind of happiness we're talking about in regards to branding is a very superficial and momentary uh, kind of quality. You know, I'm happy about little things and experiences and adventures and so on, but they're all externally created, and they're temporary. The kind of true happiness that we're all capable of is one that transcends the situational. Okay, if I never saw another advertiser advertising in my life, I can still become happy within myself. And happiness doesn't mean you're not going to have challenges or problems to deal with and have momentary unhappiness, but uh, a true joy is being able to uh, know yourself as a happy individual within, because the scope, the essence, and the nature of your existence is awe inspiring. Okay. If you're walking around saying, wow, this is amazing being alive, you're happy. Okay. Really happy. No matter what you're going to face, even if they come for you and, you know, put you away and say, happiness is outlawed, we're going to have to kill everybody who's happy, you're still going to, you know, it's not going to affect your inner amazement at being in the world itself. So it's actually back to this free energy idea. Okay, to be happy is free energy. It doesn't require an external prompt, you know, that tells you, okay, you can be happy because you got this new toothbrush. Okay, that's not what we're talking. And of course, in the Buddhist sense, there's a whole grand um, uh, kind of infrastructure called nirvana, um, which basically explores the many realm of joy that are all related to our inner well-being, various strata and types of it, and among them is the level of nirvana that's called freedom. And this idea is not a freedom from, it's a freedom of being. And that no one can take away from you. And AI will not be able to give us happiness. AI can't experience happiness. It's a particularly biological thing. I mean, there are happy animals, there are happy human beings, and that particular quality is all related to our higher consciousness. So, AI is our tool to extend the ability of human beings uh, and expose ourselves to the envisioning process on a higher and higher level, which will give us the opportunity to develop a very, very powerful inner self. Ultimately, that's the greatest thing that AI can help us accomplish.
Thank you, Harvey. And that line of wow, this is amazing to be alive. I think really children and some of the people who have been around many, many decades have been able to really embody that sense of joy. And somewhere along the way, you know, uh, we tend to perhaps get bogged down with other distractions. So this has been a delight as always. I wonder, as we close, is there anything else you'd like to add?
Um, um, I think I shared with you something important today, uh, something that is usually easily dismissed as being just talk. Um, but what we're dealing with here is a major intersection in human history. And believe me, uh, if I can say I'm an expert on the subject of human history, I'm clearly aware that we are at a point where if we do not merge the ancient with the modern, we could lose what we are capable of accomplishing before we even get a chance to accomplish it. So it's a very, we use a lot of big words here, but it's a very simple idea. The idea that human beings are so special in regards to the universe that we really have to create much more respect for human beings' development, uh, and that AI is an extension uh, of that point. Okay, so those people that give tech lectures that are talking about the impact of AI as a robotic life form that then begins to take over the world, those people are absurd. Okay, that's all I could say. It's an absurdity because you know human beings are not in the market of you know let's have let's have more control, let's have more enslavement, like as if we didn't haven't had enough of it. So I think it's really, really important for us to guide the AI innovation with higher consciousness. This is a critical point that uh, I believe is in the process of happening. It's not like I'm begging people to go do it. There are various wonderful, wonderful individuals who are working exactly on that outcome. And these are the people that are going to be the future's historical figures who are going to be recognized for creating technology for the good and goodwill of humanity. That's my last word on it.
Thank you. I so appreciate your presence with us today, and it's an honor to call you a friend and I think mentor in being able to bridge the past and the present and the future in this acausal atemporality that we have come to know as human existence. And I echo your sentiments about how pivotal of a point uh, we are experiencing for humanity existentially, spiritually, and materially. And so, thank you, Harvey, for joining us. Thank you for your thoughts. And thank you, Web3, Alicia, Laurent, everyone behind the scenes for helping make this happen across multiple countries. And for anyone joining us today, it's been a pleasure. Stay tuned. We have a few more events happening with Holo Art and introducing our Holo ship, which is a holo deck for us to explore and experiment what the ancient Renaissance, and we're not going all the way back to how far you went back, Harvey, but focusing on how do we build architecture, both literally and figuratively, for the exponential innovation of human good through art and the arts as a portal for us to be able to envision a different kind of science fiction future reality. Thank you.
Thank you.